Hello everybody, Bob here. Sorry for the delay in getting this out, but it's a pretty complex matter. Just got back from Cordova and it's hard to upload video footage from there due to limited bandwidth, which I'm running into myself as I'm having a hard time keeping up with trying to tackle these issues that have come up through phone calls with each individual or each individual group. So I do apologize for that. I'm going to try to cover just about everything I can think of here with regards to running All Alaska Outdoors and our upcoming season and taking new bookings or how we're going to try to handle those that are currently booked. I'm going to try to cover the Alaska Health Travel Mandate, what we might do in terms of our own special strategies to keep you safe and to keep our employees safe from you guys. What we would do if you don't think you can come this year and you've already booked, what we would do if you want to book and then for some reason things change. And also maybe, try to talk a little bit optimistically about projections for the season. I guess the first thing I'd like to say that I'm optimistic about is I'm sitting over here in Suite A, and there's some guests that are staying here. They arrived here yesterday. They had no problem getting through the airport. Very limited delay to turn in their paperwork. Now they were out of Colorado, and they were able to get a 72-hour test, and the result came back before they departed, and that is the key. You want it to be taken 72 hours or less from departure time to Alaska. They had their paperwork filled out, their results, they turned that in, and they headed this way, and they're out fishing with Monty right now. Chris Hansen, he's a social media influencer. He's got a great Instagram page. Look for a lot of posts from him this week as we do a bunch of different activities. Have another two guests that arrived. They're out of Salt Lake City. They also got a 72-hour test, got the result in time, and made it through the airport without difficulty, and they're out fishing right now also. So it's doable and probably will be for most people, and will get easier as more pieces fall into place and clinics and such are trying to provide the infrastructure necessary to get you that quick test. I'm not saying everybody's going to be able to pull that off. Let's talk about the mandate. Okay, I've referred you by Facebook to links, but you can just go to alaska.gov COVID-19 and then go to the travel section and download the document, which you'll need to do if you're coming here, which is the travel document. And you fill that out, that piece of paper, I guess you print it, fill it out, and there's 4 options. Now, 2 of them really don't apply. One is, I'm critical infrastructure. Well, none of you guys are. You're coming to go fishing. Number 2 is, I'm going to do a 14-day quarantine. Well, it's the honor system, so I suppose you could choose that and then come here and not quarantine, and I have no way of knowing. We won't police that. That's not the job of the lodge. That's the state's business. But obviously, most of you aren't staying for over 14 days, so you're not checking that box. There's 2 other boxes. One is, I'm going to get a test 5 days or less from when I depart for Alaska. But if you check that box, you have to take a test in the airport, and you must quarantine until that test result is available. And quite frankly, I've spoken with people from Dr. Zink's office, the Chief Medical Officer of Alaska, and they can't really tell me what to expect in terms of log jam at the airport or how long the results might take. So it's really not feasible to check that box. You need to check the 72-hour box. You need to get swabbed within 72 hours of departure. Hopefully you can find a test where they predict that you will have your results before you leave. That's the ideal situation. So if that happens, you've got the piece of paper that says, I checked the 72-hour box. You have the piece of paper that says, I'm negative. You go through the airport, turn that in, rent your car, come to the lodge, and you do your trips and go home. No problem. Okay, what if the results don't come back? This is my understanding through talking to Dr. Zink's office. You need to have your piece of paper that says you checked the 72-hour box. You need to have proof that you did a test 72 hours prior to getting here. And then you don't need to test in the airport. You just voluntarily quarantine here at the lodge. You guys have individual suites. There's only 2 people in this suite. You voluntarily quarantine at the lodge, and we probably won't schedule anything for the first day here. And as soon as your results come back, you can text those to the state and the quarantine's over and you go about your business. It shouldn't be too cumbersome. For most people, you're going to be able to find a fairly quick test available. I think that's the strategy you want to use. And some of you may not be able to be comfortable that you're going to be able to find that type of test, and you're going to have to cancel or decide not to come if you haven't booked already. You're going to have to work that out on your own. Supposedly the state website's going to have strategies for finding the places nearby you to get a test. So that's the testing. That's the health mandate. That's what you're supposed to do to come to Alaska. What's the bonus of that? Well, when you're on that airplane, you can pretty much predict that the vast majority of people on it with you have just had a negative COVID test. So it keeps you pretty safe. You have to wear a mask on most of the airlines. I guess, with it being that many hoops to jump through, there's going to be a decrease in volume to Alaska. My June is about vanished. Most of the people that were scheduled for June have canceled. So it's going to be a pretty quiet year. July won't be as busy as normal. Motorhomes probably won't be here this year. So it's going to be a year where you can enjoy Alaska with less pressure from other anglers and visitors. I guess that's a bonus. Some other things, they loosened up halibut to where the second fish that you keep on a guided halibut trip can be 32 inches or less instead of 26 inches or less. That's a real fish. Unfortunately, the June king salmon fishery did just get closed because of low returns. They were predicted to be low. July's predicted to be above average. So we're crossing our fingers. We're going to have a good fishery in July. Monty and the crew out there today should be intercepting some sockeyes. I'm sure we'll do well on that. Our fly out fishing will be good. Silvers should be good. Rainbow trout fishing should be good. Saltwater fishing should be good. We could have a great season. You just got to show up to do it. Okay, so maybe you're booked and you don't know whether you're going to be able to come or not. Maybe you're thinking about booking. I didn't send out reminders for the second 50% of your payments this year, so most everybody's only paid 50%. I'm good with taking the balance when you get here because I don't want to collect a bunch of money that I then have to send back. And quite frankly, if you decide you're not coming right now with the break in our cash flow that you might imagine this created with our cancellations, bookings flatlining, not taking the other 50%, I really don't have the ability to write checks and send them back out right now. If you decide that you don't want to come this year and you're willing to just take whatever monies have been paid and let us forward them to the future, they're available in perpetuity. If you're going to ask us to give you a refund, we will try to do that, but it's probably going to be a while when we get ahead of this financial situation. And truthfully, if something happens and the state then says, okay, we got to stop, can't have people coming up anymore, and our season completely falls flat, I'm going to have to be working on, help from the state and maybe some additional financing through the banks. So it could be a while. I'm just being honest, guys. Book right now, we only want 50% to take an available slot. We won't ask for the balance until you arrive. Like I said, I think it's going to be a good year, a year for less crowds, more fish for everybody. What else? How are we going to protect you? Well, as you guys, most of you that are familiar with the lodge know, you have your own private suite, so you're already exposed to your group, you're sharing rental cars. We shouldn't be increasing that exposure. it'll be mostly Suzanne and I that will integrate with you guys. We're going to create all of our paperwork into electronic work that we're going to text to your phone. So your directions to your destinations, your itineraries, all of that. No more hand and papers back and forth. Housekeeping will only come in if you're vacating the suite for the day, which if you're on trips, no problem. So no real issue there in terms of exposure. Jason, fish processing, I think it's pretty easy to stay 6 feet social distance away from Jason. We're going to try to create a automated process for leaving your fish so you don't even really have to do too much with Jason. And as far as our lodge man, lighting the sauna, starting the fires, again, we're going to try to limit the amount of interaction that occurs in that setting. And to simplify things, we're not going to do a cookout this year. I mean, asking everybody to come to the lodge and then put them all in one room and feed them is just a whole layer of complexity we're just going to have to skip this year till we get through this thing. Trips. Well, masks will be encouraged, especially in enclosed settings like the flights and in the cabins of the halibut boat. I don't know whether it certainly if you're out fishing for sockeyes in the open air on the Kenai River, spread out more than 6 feet on the bank, I don't think a mask makes sense. Sitting in a boat that's open, outdoors, does a mask really change things much? Probably not. I mean, I am a doctor. I understand this science pretty well. It's not going to hurt, but it's not a huge deal. It looks pretty doable, guys. I think we're going to have a decent season. I hope some of you will go ahead and try to get your travel done, get your tests set up. I probably should mention that the state will be providing a voucher that you can pick up for nothing when you come through the airport, particularly if you're going to be here longer than 7 days. Most of you won't. You're supposed to get tested at the state's expense, by the way, with that voucher between 7 and 14 days. So do grab that voucher if you fall into that category for sure. It's been tough. I mean, if you can imagine the amount of medical literature I'm trying to keep up with, because I still practice medicine, both urgent care, emergency care, and of course my wellness practice. And then trying to keep up with all of these health mandates and figuring out what we were going to do from a fishing lodge. If I've seemed distant, I apologize, but my bandwidth is used up also. I hope this helps. You can reach Suzanne at 907-953-0186. You can email me directly at bobletta@alaska.net. You can call my cell phone at 907-953-0473. But I'm hoping that this will at least shorten the amount of time we spend on the phone because I've covered the big ticket items. Reach out if you need to. If you're looking to book a trip, we've got some openings scattered throughout the summer. There's been some cancellations. Most all of us in the industry are planning on doing our best to service you guys. We're up and running. We're going to try to make this a go.